Good evening and welcome to the August 26, 2025 Metro Enhancement Grant Program Committee, Part 2. And I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for the roll call. And we can actually start down at the end. Just say your name. Eric.
My name is Eric Bruckbauer, committee member.
Make sure your mic is on, please. And make sure it's over where you can be heard. Yep, just bend it.
I'm Eric Bruckbauer, committee member.
Christine Lewis, committee member, Metro Councilor.
Rocky Smith, Oregon City Commissioner and committee member.
Denise McGriff, committee member.
Adam Marl, committee member. Scott Wilson, committee member.
Judy Schaefer, community member.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I would like to.
Yeah, I'm here also.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mike. Yes, I was getting to you and Commissioner Mitchell. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Mitchell, City Commissioner and committee member.
Right, yeah, no, I've got you. I've been making notes to myself. Call Mike, call Mike, call Mike, call Mike. Anyway, again, thank you, committee members, for making time for this second review. We appreciate the time that you are going to be giving tonight to review these second round applications. I would like to call for a review of the minutes of June 16th, 2025. Did anybody have any additions, corrections of any sort? If there are none, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 16th, 2025?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from June 16, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of June 16th, 2025. Why don't we just signify by saying aye or nay? So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, none, they're approved. All right. So we have an item on here for number 3 for public comments, and so there for items that are not on the agenda, I don't have any slips from anyone because I think everyone's here for something. So I will just move forward with the next item. So before we get into the presentations by the applicants, I would like to call staff to review. We have 2 staff reports, if you would, please.
Sure. Good evening, members of the Enhancement Grant Committee, and ladies and gentlemen. Staff received 8 proposals in the second round, totaling a little over $200,000. Based on program guidelines, 6 applications were determined to be eligible for consideration, totaling about a little over $158,000 in grant requests. 2 applications were not eligible based on those guidelines. As you can see, you see the lineup before you in terms of all the applications that are before us. The other item I wanted to mention is that the mayor had asked me to put together a memorandum or memo that identifies those applicants who applied at during the last fiscal cycle, and to identify them, and if there are the same 3, we basically had 3 that actually applied last year that are applying this year, and she wanted to know something about their performance on the grant with the grants in terms of the number of Oregon City residents served and other things. So you have that memorandum before you. The 3 organizations that actually applied last funding cycle and are here to seek funding during this funding cycle include Hannah Grace Family, o.C. Together, and the Willamette Falls Symphony Orchestra. Orchestra. Hannah Grace, in their report that's before you, their first progress report during the last funding cycle indicated that 29 out of 39 students were current Oregon City residents, which represents 74%. 6 of the 10 remaining students were either former residents of Oregon City or still enrolled as students in the Oregon City School District. Their final grant report stated that the total enrollment had grown to 44 students, and that the percentage of students that were Oregon City residents had grown to 77.3%. So that's an indication of the number of Oregon City residents that were able to be served under that organization through this grant. OC Together, the 2024-25 Enhancement Grant Agreement with OC Together and the Oregon City School District did not specifically require reporting on the number of Oregon City residents who participated in the grant funding program. However, there were a number of individuals who participated in this program. They reported at least 4,000 Oregon City students that were age appropriate that participated in prevention education. And so you have the report there to give you an indication of the number of students. Their final report is there for your reference. Willamette Falls Symphony Orchestra, in their 2024-25 Enhancement Grant Agreement, they agreed to report on the number of people attending each concert who are Oregon City residents and to conduct outreach in the community. Now, the organization surveyed their audience at each performance. Their final report stated that Willamette Falls Symphony had hosted 6 concerts during the grant period, including multiple performances at Oregon City schools with 993 school students in attendance. Now, the percentage of Oregon City residents in attendance ranged from 27% to 33%. So they are reporting that the total attendance for all of their performances throughout the entire year was a little over 1,500 people. Assuming that all of the students at the Oregon City school system, Oregon City schools lived in Oregon City, the total number of Oregon City residents was a little over 1,100 people, or 74%. So they also offered free admission to Oregon City residents and acknowledged the city of Oregon City in their concert programs and promotions. So that's my report on that.
So just so committee members, I just wanted to further elaborate on that. So several of the applicants had conditions in their approvals to document Oregon City residents. And when I say Oregon City residents, not Oregon City mailing address, but Oregon City residents, people who actually live in town, because we know that we have friends and relatives and other people who live in Redland. They have an Oregon City mailing address. That is not an Oregon City resident. So I'm hoping that that's what occurred, because if it's, let me just say 1,000 people came to X, Y, or Z, and they say they're Oregon City residents, was that documented that they were Oregon City residents, not just to an Oregon City mailing address? And probably a good example of someone that was able to successfully do that was the farmer's market. So that, again, conditions of approval are things that we had asked to be done, and we didn't get any feedback on how well they were successful in completing those conditions of approval. So that is why I asked the question. And I presume on the ones that we've already done that we'll be asking, similar questions. So that's the reason. It wasn't to call anybody out. It was just when we're approving something and we ask for specific information, the staff is going to be looking for that specific information. So when you are doing your calculations, make sure they are living in Oregon City, because that's where the money needs to be spent. And no disrespect to our friends who have Oregon City mailing addresses. So staff, did you want to say anything else about, are we going to go to Mr. Zook? Your first report has got the proposals and the amount of money we have available.
Exactly. So just to also put a pin on what you had mentioned regarding performance. So when we do this next year, we will report on the performance of all of the recipients of this program. So therefore, you will have an indication of how they performed relative to their presentation and their grant and what they said they would do. So with your indulgence, Mayor, we're ready for the presentations.
Wait a second, we might have some questions of the committee members.
Okay.
Well, before presentations, we should probably mention any connections with any
Right,
applicants.
yes, I was gonna get there before we got
Okay,
there.
just making sure.
Yeah, so anyway, just for the record, we will be having a brief discussion about whether there are any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest. So we'll start with Judy.
No, I do not have any.
I have attended some trainings and meetings with Oregon City together. None from me.
I've also attended some programs with Oregon City Together at the high school, but I don't have a conflict of interest or bias.
I've had no conversations with anyone about any of these grants from any applicants, but I do work for the Oregon City School District.
I have none.
I have no conflicts.
Okay, great. All right,
And nothing to declare for me.
yes, and thank you. Yes. I'm getting there. You're getting there. Just when I pause, it doesn't mean that I've forgotten you. I'm just taking a breath. So, anyway, all right. So, because we don't have as many applicants as we had before, I believe it would be okay, if it's okay with all of you, to allow folks a little bit more time, rather than, you know, the typical 3 minutes, which is not enough time to really kind of say what you need to say. I think we will go to at least 5 or so. And basically, we will start with, so I think mostly everybody knows the drill, so tell us about your project. In summary, give us indication of how you plan to execute the project and anything else that you think would be pertinent. And just, we're all going to be very respectful tonight and make sure that we give everybody an adequate amount of time. We will not be allowing for any conversations to occur from the audience. I apologize in advance if that's a problem for somebody, but we have to get it on the record. And just be sure and give us your name and speak into the mic. I think, do they both work tonight?
There's a handheld.
I think Steve tested them all, so thank you, Steve, for making sure everything works correctly. So we have Diane, who is with Clackamas County Arts Alliance, and she is online with us, and thank you for making the time available. And you do have someone else here from your staff. Would you like to come up, please?
Yeah, so actually, thank you for letting us join you tonight. I'm gonna let Ariella Sophie start, and then because sometimes I have issue on my end with Wi-Fi, I'll let her do the presentation, and then if we have questions, maybe I'll jump in and both of us will do that. But thank you for letting us come and present to you tonight.
Gee, Diane, nobody ever has any problems with Wi-Fi or connections or any, I mean, that's never happens. I don't even know what you're talking about. Anyway, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you all for hearing us. My name is Ariella Sophie Sternberg. I am the Community Engagement and Public Programs Manager for the Clackamas County Arts Alliance. And I believe all of you are aware of the work we do, but I'll just in brief summary say that we are the Arts Services Organization representing Clackamas County, which means we are the sort of public link between artists and public programs, artists and other organizations, big calls and opportunities, as well as maintaining public galleries around the county. And it's not just for visual artists, it's for performing artists, for writers. And so the goal is to be an arts incubator to help support people grow their craft, their personal businesses, and just create better economic resilience. So the programs that we are applying for, just to outline, so again, and my hat as public programs manager, we have within the last fiscal year plus, I guess, beginning in June of 2024, started a series of public programs to the Arts Alliance. So those have been a series of workshops for professional development for artists, as well as a series of community networking and gathering events. And we've very strongly chosen to be here in Oregon City. When we first started that program, which was fiscal year 2023 to 2024, we were recipients of a Metro Community Enhancement grant at that point in time. So we put that to use kickstarting this program, we've taken some lessons from that to try to iterate, make a slightly better program, but we've very intentionally chosen to remain here in Oregon City and also to offer these programs for free for the public, for anyone who is committed enough to show up. So some of those programs have included things like guides to self-publishing your own work, guides to understanding copyright law for artists. We just had one last month, which was about understanding how to leverage your social media presence. We've got one coming up in a week, which is understanding the grant writing application process, because that can be very intimidating, whether you're a community organization or an individual artist. And I do want to say, too, that these networking events have a huge impact. So those we tend to move around the county. All of the workshops we've had here in Oregon City in partnership either with the Oregon City Public Library or a.Clackamas Community College. But our networking events, because it's important, we serve the whole county, to move those around. But the one we had in Oregon City here was truly phenomenal. We were downtown Oregon City at Chrysalis Cellars. We had, if anyone's been to that space, it's teeny tiny. We had 42 people there. It's one of those, sort of elbow room in, which is phenomenal. That was a business, women-owned local business that just started within the past year. And the owner of the business was there, was serving wine, was ecstatic because she's like, this is the most crowded this place has ever been. And as a result of that, there were a lot of people who said, gosh, I didn't even know this business existed here. She was able to announce at that point in time, because they were getting a new business, we're going to have a gallery wall here. This seems like a great place to announce this to local artists. Because of that connection we forged, there's a few artists, one of whom had a studio right across the street, who was then able to say, hey, I want to get in touch with you. I want to be exhibiting in this space. So a part of what we do is, again, just facilitating these connections. And again, we are applying for grants because we want to continue to have this be here in Oregon City, continue to have this be free. And just because we heard the note about how many Oregon City residents are attending the programs, that's one of the processes we've tweaked and iterated from our last go-round. So we are actively collecting through online registration the home addresses of everyone who attends, who fills out that form. Some people forget, but as a result of that, we have pretty clear reporting data. And again, we're looking at depending on the size of the event, so our workshops tend to be between 10 to 20 people, and there's a consistent Oregon City participation rate, which is, it's somewhere, depending on the event, depending on how close it is. The ones that are out are not necessarily drawing a huge amount of Oregon City people, but there's always a strong Oregon City presence. And again, that connection work is giving people their first gallery experience through our artist exhibit program. There's an Oregon City artist who I can think of who's a local ceramic artist. And through the connection work I've been doing in my community outreach hat, she was able to learn about this program, apply for this first time, have her first professional experience in a gallery. And so our artist exhibit program galleries, we have 20 galleries around the county now.
Thank you, time's up.
Oh,
Go ahead,
Thank you all.
just wrap it up.
okay, great.
Get another minute.
Perfect, thank you, Denise. I just want to say that, we have a huge amount of gallery space here. We're wanting to make sure that that's available to Oregon City artists. We have a huge participation rate in that from Oregon City, disproportionate in the county. So we're really trying to, again, offer these programs for free and here in Oregon City, which is something that, to the best of our knowledge at least, no one else is doing. Thank you all.
Diane, did you want to add anything?
Sorry about that. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think for us, we are focusing with the work that Ariella Sophie is doing is really around creating those economic opportunities for residents. And not only the residents that come and get the education, but because we're choosing to host in Oregon City, we're actually bringing folks to Oregon City. They have lunch and they buy gas and all those things. So it sort of helps build on the overall economic vitality too by having them there. And so, like she said, we've chosen to do that. We'd like to keep them in Oregon City if we can. And so part of this funding would really go to help us do that. So I think that's the only thing I have to add. Thank you.
Mike, do you have any questions? I guess I would just ask a question about your last statement. You don't have any documentation that they're buying lunch and buying gas. I mean, it's a sort of a generic statement. You said that they're buying lunch and they're buying gas and,
No, I mean, we know that when people come from, if they're coming from Estacada or something like that for a class, that they're not just coming in and dropping to the class, but they're actually coming and staying and doing a couple of other things while they're here. And you're right, we don't collect exactly that information and ask them what else they're doing, but we know they're doing that because they talk about it, I guess. I mean, it's sort of that kind of information. But, I mean, we know that, when people, like if we have something out in Estacada and people travel to Estacada, they come and spend a little extra time there. So we're assuming they're doing it the other way too.
And with some events, that is quite clear, like the event that we had at the winery, right? People were actively purchasing drinks there. I mean, I didn't ask for receipts from that event, but there was plenty of wine consumed.
Judy, questions? Scott, just gonna go down the line. Adam? Eric?
No question.
All right. So the only other thing I had was that you mentioned that you had some reporting data. So what do you have so far?
Sure. So of events within Oregon City, on average, and again, some of those events are more modest in size, only 10 people, our participation is averaging about 4.25 residents who are located within Oregon City. Again, we're broadcasting this county-wide, so we're also pulling in people from Portland as well as elsewhere in the county. That gathering at Corsilla had 42 attendees. And then moving on to a different program, so those are the event programs, the public programs, the exhibition program, the artist exhibition program. So in the year of 2025, this current exhibition cycle, out of our 67 featured artists, 12 of those were from Oregon City. And let me see how many were, and 6 of those were first-time participants in that program, which is amazing. Out of those artists, almost 10%, actually less than 10%, were the first timers to that program.
Great. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you all so much for hearing
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
All right.
Mayor, do you want me to hold it to a 5-minute, or you want to just wing it?
Well, depending on where they are, I mean, I want to try to be a little flexible, but you do know, let them know when their time is up.
Okay.
Sometimes they're right at the, you can kind of tell they're wrapping up. All right, so next we have, let me grab my agenda again. Friends of Willamette Falls Studio.
Hello and good evening. My name is Billy Roberts. I am the Vice Chair of the Board of Directors for Willamette Falls Studios, aka the Friends of Willamette Falls Studios. I'm a Rivercrest neighborhood resident.
And I'm Ray Gordon, Marketing Director for Willamette Falls Studios and a McLaughlin District resident.
First of all, thank you for this opportunity to present our proposal for a second time. I watched the previous meeting, and I understand from that meeting that some of you know about Willamette Falls Studios and some of you may not know. So allow me just a brief minute to give some relevant context. We're a community-focused 501c3 organization. Our professional staff film a lot of these important goings-on here at City Hall, and we do the same for some of our neighbor cities like Canby, Wilsonville, and Milwaukee. We have transformed a historic building, the old high school gymnasium at 1101 Jackson Street, into a full production multimedia studio with a TV studio, podcast studio, music recording studio / online streaming venue, and most importantly for this presentation, a beautiful kitchen studio with the fancy KitchenAid mixer, cameras over the stove, knickknacks on the shelves, really nice. You should come check it out sometime. We offer production classes to the community and make our facilities and equipment available to any resident who wants to take those classes and become a registered producer at the studio. What we propose to create, if we are awarded this grant money, is 2 pilot episodes of an ongoing educational series that celebrates the history and culture of Oregon City. The working title is Hunger for History, and each episode will feature a representative of an Oregon City business or cultural group as the guest chef who, through the sharing of family recipes, shares their unique cultural background, historical facts about Oregon, and the perspectives of the varied people who now constitute our community here. I'll turn things over to Ray for a moment here to, tell some of the specifics about these, the themes and potential guest hosts that we have in mind for these initial episodes.
So we're concentrating on two pilot episodes. One is with the tribes of Grand Ronde. I don't know if you know, but Sarah Thompson, their press secretary, is what they call the only female ceremonial fisher in the tribe. And she would be a natural guest that would connect the history of the falls and of the tribe together by making a dish that you would get from the Willamette Falls. Also, we have an incredible, really favorite place in Oregon City called Nebbiolo. So I don't know if you know Yvette Kerwin, but she came from New Mexico, and with her she brought her love of food and her culture, and she made a very beloved wine bar here. And having her story needs to be told. Our main three focuses that really align with the goals of this is going to foster appreciation and understanding of other cultures and history. We're going to promote small business and organizations through that personal stories and their dishes, and then provide educational opportunities for students looking for credit and advanced education using the studios.
That's right. We do feel that the Hunger for History project meets several of the grant's goals. We believe it will create economic opportunity with paid project work for staff, and it will promote local businesses and organizations with the content. It will promote the city and the cultural histories of its residents. Like she said, provide training and educational opportunities for interns and residents who come in to take the classes. We will have this project as something that they can work on as part of their training to learn how to operate the studio equipment. It helps us maintain equipment and studio spaces. The final product will help us promote our facilities and services as a valuable resource to the community. And it will pay for the time, effort, and expertise of our hardworking staff who want to create content that's for the community, about the community, and made within the community. And as a bonus to all of that, a final product at the end of it is, at least two evergreen, living documents that, a document of history, food, culture, and community. It's available for free online and for cable subscribers. And it will continue to promote art and culture in Oregon City long after the decision to award the grant money is made. So, thank you.
Okay, fine.
It's done.
Okay. Are there any questions? Go ahead.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit about your expected viewership for this? Are you planning to just air this on the cable access that you have access to, or other avenues?
So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we also have a YouTube channel. It can go up on any number of social media outlets. Once that project is completed, yes, it does go onto the cable channel, but also it can live online, and I can't put a number on that because, how much can we spend on marketing that, pushing that out? Do we want that to be part of the project? That's something to be discussed later. But, theoretically, whoever has access to the internet could end up watching it, in addition to all of the cable subscribers in Clackamas County.
But theoretically, you have done projects similar to this in the past.
So what I could do
from
is,
which you could expand upon.
Yeah, what I can do is I can get, I'll talk to the director and get those actual counts on some similar cooking shows we do, but also we'll make that available to like Yvette and to the tribe. So they'll be able to use it on their own social media, which will continue to grow the viewership. But I can get those exact amounts if you want. I know at one time, cable access and all that, there's, there are some viewership numbers I can give you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been helpful to have now.
Yes,
But
truthfully.
wait.
I've been told 500,000, so that's what I said before, but I've been told 500,000. But I want to get exact for you.
Judy?
I do not have any questions.
Scott? Christine?
None.
Eric?
I have just a question. So the goal of the project is sort of twofold, correct? That half of it is marketing for these restaurants and these chefs, and the other half is practice for the students. Is that correct?
It's actually threefold.
Okay.
So why do two when you can have three? So like your goals that you have in the grant, one is to be able, to improve the livability of Oregon City by developing understanding and appreciation of other cultures. So by picking people to promote their businesses and promote their culture, we believe that will help promote culture in Oregon City and develop a melting pot. Two is the educational opportunities. We have existing relationships already with KS, let's see, it's
Community college and.
yeah, the
City
community
school
college and
districts.
building bridges to independence. So there we have existing opportunities and existing relationships already to bring people on board that will benefit their education as well as benefit us. And the third thing is the economic part of it is, so say Yvette, she puts on her, we put it on our channels, we reach a great amount of people, and then people will go, I want to check out that. She's got tapas, I hope I'm saying it right, tapas. I've heard are great. So it will build visitors to the downtown area and Oregon City in our the ones that we make from now on, so.
I think it's also important to understand that, our staff is part-time, so projects are needed in order for them to, get hours to work. And that's one of the goals of this is to get some funding to get an initial project started. The goal is to do obviously more than 2 episodes, but what I've been, speaking with the executive director about is that for the amount of money that we're asking for, that's around, the market value of creating one video, at any other studio. We believe we can do at least 2 to get the ball rolling, to have a final product, a final video. And that final video, in addition to, what we've said, it also, any interns that work on it can use that for their professional portfolios, going forward to get into, different school. It provides, a project for anyone that's coming to learn the equipment in the studio. They have, an existing project with, stated goals and, themes. These initial episodes of any sort of series take a little extra startup cost because you have graphics to create, scripts to develop, show formats to develop. We have the bones of that now, but in order to get this project off the ground, that's why we're seeking funding.
So connecting on to what he just said, it's not a two and done for us. So this is to get the series solidified and moving forward. And from then we'll do sponsors. And so there will be even more Oregon City restaurants and organizations that will be highlighted in the future. So this is not only just saying, you're helping us with these 2 episodes, you're helping for the future because you're getting us off the ground on these 2 episodes so that we can continue to help build the economy through media.
Yeah, my pie in the sky idea is, all of the food trucks at Corner 14,
Yeah.
there's so much opportunity for people to take advantage of a show format like this. So
And
we're
the
just
Corner
trying to get it
14 is
started.
interested too, so.
Okay, there you go.
Mike, do you have any questions?
So,
Who did I leave off with? I think I left off with you.
I appreciate the invitation to the building. I've been in that building a lot, and
It's cool, yeah.
amazing. That's my old classroom when I started teaching at the high school, the old high school. My question is, is the Friends of the Willamette Falls Studios and Willamette Falls Studios itself separate organizations, or is it one organization?
The Friends of Willamette Falls Studios is sort of the name of the board of directors, essentially. So
Got it.
I am on the board of directors. The studios, that's the staff.
Okay, got
That's
it.
our working.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
how
that's
we doing business under the name Willamette Falls Studios.
That's
And plus, we don't want to be last.
You laughed.
Well, we're officially,
Alphabetical.
yeah,
I see.
F is better than W.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I have, of course, a number of questions because I had a number of questions last time. So what my concerns are is that you state this will increase employment and economic opportunities, but you don't have any documentation of what that is or how that is. I can go through all of them right off the bat. So my question there is, okay, how will that be done? We're making statements that don't have anything that's backing it up in your documentation. You talk about small business organizations highlighted in the episodes will benefit from added exposure and increased patronage. Again, it's all indirect. How will you know that? You mentioned that you're looking at sponsors. You indicated that you don't have any other funding, so why did you not try to secure sponsors as part of this package to bring to, the city? The other thing is you say it will provide educational opportunities for students, but again, you don't document how that is. How will the interns be involved specifically?
Okay.
Are they getting paid? I mean, this seems like a lot of the money that you're asking for is going to be used for staffing. So my question here, you say will benefit people involved economically. And I said, I don't know what method is going to be used to make that determination.
Did I say that?
I'm reading off your application. Okay. I'm not saying you said it. I'm just saying whoever filled it out. So
Well, no, I filled it out, but.
Okay. So anyway, so then I know I'm shooting them all right at you right at one time here.
Oh, that's right.
So then under grant dollars requested, it's under the personnel services contractor, consultants, and performers. So where is that? There is opportunity there. You can write a little bit in there in that space. So what is that money going to be used for? Where is that money going? Is that all staff?
No, it's not.
It's not staff. It costs money to run cameras. It costs money to run lights. It costs money to, in this case, for a cooking show, ingredients. Maybe if there's a special indigenous recipe or cooking vessel that's needed that we need to acquire, if a lapel mic breaks.
Okay,
I believe it's,
the reason
about.
I asked is because I was trying to figure out, you had it under that particular topic heading. So I can only read what I'm given. And so
Yes.
I can't take my brain and go, okay, well, I think they mean that. Because I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. So
I believe that just to have one staff member and the studio running, it's about $75 an hour, I believe. So, yes, that is where the money goes. It goes to staff, it goes to run cameras, it goes to run lights, it goes to, maintaining editing software subscriptions. I mean, there's all sorts of things that go into that. And that's where the money would be going. It goes to the people that work, it goes to the studio's facilities.
okay, well, that is so helpful because that wasn't in the application.
And
That's why I'm here.
I want to, so I'm looking at where you said, and that's not what the sentence you said is not in here, but you may have been, this is what it says. We will work with people and food businesses or organizations we have highlighted to develop protocols to measure the effectiveness of their episode and bringing people to the door. So if you're paraphrasing, I get it.
No, I was reading directly from the application. Sorry, I was not paraphrasing.
Oh, okay.
No,
I'd like to see that because that, it doesn't sound like
It
something
says specifically describe how project directly meets the specific goals. So I was just reading.
Oh, no, that's right,
Yeah,
because it's
sorry.
confusing, because it doesn't sound like, I was trying to answer everything with positive stuff. So you said it was, again, I apologize.
I was just asking, the application says, hunger for history will increase employment and economic opportunities for city residents by highlighting their restaurants, food-related business. And so my question that I wrote in margin was, how will this be done? There's no
Oh, you're
metrics.
paraphrasing, you're not saying that I wrote that, I get it.
No, I'm reading from the application. I'm not saying, I don't know who wrote it. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, I'm just reading what I saw.
Right, oh, no, I get it now that you said a sentence that was not in there, but you're saying what it, okay, I get it.
No,
I think to answer your question, though,
I'm sorry, I apologize if you don't understand.
I get
I'm
it.
reading from
I get it
page
now.
3 of the application.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That is under this topic heading, specifically
Oh, okay.
describe how project directly meets the selected goals. And that it's three, on your application, it's page 3, but it's got number 4, and it says proposed project must meet one or more of the following 10 goals, and it lists all the
Okay.
goals, and there were boxes checked. And then underneath it is what you guys said, or whoever filled it out. So again,
Okay.
I'm not
I'll read
paraphrasing,
over
I
it.
am
Okay.
reading directly from your.
If I remember your question, it was, how will it increase economic activity?
Yeah, because you're not listing any metrics of how you're going to do that.
Okay.
Well,
So
okay.
it's a great statement.
Sure. I think that how I can answer your question right here, right now, would be that, we hope to have, as the guest hosts of this show, local business people, or in the case of the Tribes of the Grand Ronde, local cultural organization. Through the show, they have the opportunity to, describe their restaurant, share menu items, techniques, share the history of their organization. I think in addition to what's filmed in the studio, we have the opportunity to, incorporate still pictures and other images within that. So, there's, there could be, and when we have the Nebbiolo, we would have, pictures of that incorporated into the episode. We can't advertise as a nonprofit. We can't, do traditional advertising, but it does provide them an opportunity to tell us the history of their restaurant or organization and, create awareness for that.
And I also wanted to add that to further help the business that we're highlighting, we'll be working through them for their ingredients.
Yes, especially Nebbiolo, who's probably has the ability to donate their ingredients, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hannah Grace family,
Now I'm
please.
hungry.
Thank you very much.
Jason Hood, representing Hannah Grace Family. The music program is called Ascend Music and offers music lessons and instruments to kids who have been through or currently in different types of trauma and instability, many of them trafficked, domestic violence, foster kids, coming from different areas where they have no real control of, yet leaving them in a place of just kind of having no self-image whatsoever. And some of them coming to us nonverbal from just what they've been through. And music allows us this opportunity to teach them something very elementary that we know that they can reproduce. And as they're able to reproduce something very simple in these group lessons, they start to light up and come back to life. And we're able to continue to build upon that. And we always say that, music is important to us, but first and foremost, it's the kids and the relationships and them being able to trust somebody again and feel like their lives could amount to something. And that's the first thing that we have to address with them. So with the program, we buy, like last year, around $12,000 worth of instruments. And every brand new student is checked out a keyboard or guitar, depending upon which lessons that they're going to be a part of. And if they fulfill one calendar school year, then that instrument is gifted to them, as well as everything going along with it, with the keyboard, headphones, stands, bench, everything needed to play. So for most of them, it quickly becomes their most prized possession, their most expensive thing. And we follow the Oregon City School District calendar with weekly lessons where we usually have 6 kids per class and 2 or 3 instructors per class. So we're able to divide up with the kids and give them a lot of individual time and build them up. And with some kids that are quicker learners, putting them with an instructor that can take them further. With others that really need one-on-one time, we do that for their sake and sometimes for the benefit the class also. We, as was stated before, we had 44 kids that were part of the program this last year. 34 were current Oregon City residents. 6 of those were previous Oregon City residents. Being that the kids come from many different areas of instability, the housing is also unstable. One of our letters of reference is from a.Clackamas Housing Authority, and they promote us. And so sometimes the housing that many of our moms, in having been through DV, have been in, get moved around. And so some of those that had originated in Oregon City, aren't in Oregon City now. One of them, so our numbers are actually one higher, because on our new application that was filled out from one of our moms, they had moved back into Oregon City, been moved back into Oregon City this last year, but hadn't been, we weren't aware of that yet. But any student who completes the first year of the program, they can continue to stay in the program. So that's part of it's part of the stability that we're trying to create and combat the instability that they've been through, so they can just continue in the program. And so we have some kids that are third and fourth year students. We're entering into our 5th year of the program now. Most of our finances come from community members, from small businesses and individuals who give in once a year times or as monthly givers, and that's the foundation of what we do. So we've been able to increase over the 4 years from 24 to 44 based upon that, and it definitely, when we're able to get the Metro Enhancement grant, is a huge sigh of relief for us, in that it takes off so much of the overhead cost of those instruments, and about a third of the instructors are paid as 1099 instructors.
Thank you very much.
Michael?
Yeah, there was one thing that was a little bit confusing to me in the application. Jason, you mentioned going from 44 to 50, but the 27,000 plus that you're requesting, that isn't just to get those extra 6 students. It's so that that the whole, it's spread across the whole program, not just to provide an additional 6 students. Am I understanding that right?
Correct. Every year we have, like right now, I think we have about 7 students that have moved and won't be continuing to Los Angeles, to Sandy, to other places. But we take the number of students and then divide that by the instructor costs. So part of that is just the division of the maintenance of the program for everybody divided up, some of which of that is new students and in the new instruments specifically for them. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So 2 questions. First, do you partner at all with Wally's Music here in Oregon City?
No, I've been down there specifically. They don't deal much in any keyboard stuff. So we have a organization that has a nonprofit program where we get stuff that's like 15% below what you can find online or anywhere.
Nice.
So that's where a lot of our purchases come from.
Great. And then the second question, so in these lessons, when you have the instructors teaching them how to play their instruments, are they learning sheet music? Are they learning theory? Or is it more like by ear and chord charts? What's the process there?
For keyboard, it's all classical piano. However, for many of the kids with different learning disabilities, the classical piano is a little harder, so we try to introduce more chords and arpeggios, which are, there's a little bit more, right away they feel some affirmation in it. Mm-hmm. And because of the affirmation, it's something that's a motivation for them. And so we're trying to, and even more this year, try to combine that and looking for an additional keyboard book that would would be chords specifically to be added to the classical piano.
Great, thank you.
Start down at the other end, Eric,
Questions?
Christine?
Your application mentioned 1,400 served through the visitation program, which is separate from the music program. What's the recruitment process from your kind of wider pool of students and youth served to this very more intense intervention? Does everybody have the option?
Yeah, one of the letters of reference is from Oregon Department of Human Services, where we, free of charge, do visitations for families and kids where there's hope of reunification, trying to help them get off drugs, get their lives turned around. And so whenever there's opportunity for any of those kids that are in the foster kid system to get into the lessons, it's a really beneficial thing. So lawyers in the community, people doing counseling that are in our building, are often trying to get those students into the music program if it can be facilitated between whoever the foster parents are, the birth parents, transportation, things like that. Because if we can kind of stack a visitation time with those lessons and just real healthy interaction stuff, it's really good for the parents, seeing somebody just loving on and investing in their kids in a way that many of us, myself included, as a growing up, my parents couldn't afford. And so to be able to give the very best to kids going through something hard, I think is part of our success rate in that.
Great, so this is available to all of those if the logistics work out and they're able. Wonderful,
Yeah.
thanks.
Judy?
Yeah, how many kids come back every year?
Usually around 90%, because it's usually just kids that move away. We had one family originated in Oregon City, moved up right next to the University of Portland. It was a DV case, and they rode mass transit every day to come to lessons, including in the snow 2 years ago. And then the son was such a quick learner, but his confidence just completely changed. And so as a freshman then in high school, he went out for wrestling and track, did really well. So something that he was just unwilling to even put himself out for, he was willing to do. But basically we kind of only lose kids when they move. We've got a waiting, I think on my report, I said we have a waiting list of over 30 kids. Now it's around 70 kids that are wanting to be in the program. If we advertise more, it would be a much bigger waiting list. We're not trying to say no to a bunch of people.
So adding 6 kids is making a commitment.
Yeah, so from the 44, when the numbers come in, we're probably going to be around 37 that are returning with the ones that I know that have already moved. And so then trying to fill those and expand more. And again, as we have money coming in from people in the community, that's what allowed us then to expand even further last year.
So I have some questions, obviously. I have questions for everybody, because I read all this stuff. So one of the things that I wanted to ask about is that you say, not you, but the application says, by expanding to serve 50 students, the program creates paid positions for qualified music instructors. So some of the money is being used to pay for staff. And are any of those people residents of Oregon City? Because you talk about training opportunities, and we're talking about training opportunities and
all
things
of those
for-
are Oregon City residents. We list our senior volunteers because that's become a pool that we didn't even really think about, but we've started amassing this army of 65-year-old retired grandmas that don't have grandchildren around and need someone to love on, and some with some musical background, and such a huge asset, and they just love being a part of it. And so of our senior volunteers, 7 out of the 8 are Oregon City residents.
I was asking about the paid people.
Yeah, all of them are.
Okay. And then, under the section involving materials and supplies, it wasn't specifically listed, but I'm presuming that 8280 is going to pay for instruments?
Yeah, I think that's what, and I apologize, I neglected my glasses, so
You can't
I wrote
see
some
anything.
bigger notes that I could read, but yeah,
Yeah, sometimes just adding that little detail in the box, you know, the 8280, 280 instruments, you know, because it says materials. We don't know what the materials are. So that would have been really helpful. And then it says here, are there other sources of funding? So I'm curious as to why the Metro Enhancement grants this grant is being looked at as the only sole source of grant funding. Are there other opportunities that you've looked into?
we don't have a grant writer, so as a nonprofit, we would very much benefit from having a grant writer. And so expanding that's opportunity that's out there, but we don't have somebody, and we're so much volunteer run in everything that we do that the money goes back into what we're doing. So we don't have somebody reaching out in that way. We do different fundraisers in the community and are always expanding. I think 4 years ago from like 25 people locally that we're giving to around 40 now, that as more just continue to just build up and become that bigger foundation for what we do when they hear what's taking place. We have a giving tree that's on our wall. If any of you guys got our closing report from last year, it's an 8-foot tall steel tree that's on the wall, and there's a leaf representing every donor or volunteer, of which the Metro grant is one of those leaves hanging there, representing, and people always seeing that you guys have been some who have helped us get to where we're at.
Well, my last question is, if you can sum up in a couple of sentences, why should we fund this project?
Well, I think that we kind of represent a group of people that often have no representation. And often there's finances that go toward them, but the biggest thing that they're needing is the relational part. And that requires just spending time with them. School teachers have that opportunity. And there's many that represent these kids in some ways, yet much deeper, it's often us helping them with their homework. It's us talking to them about some of the decisions going on in life, because there's this relationship and trust that's been built up, a relationship being built up because ones have been broken and been misused in the past, and so we have this opportunity to replace that and build it back up, and not have little kids growing up pessimistic that nothing could turn better in my life again.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, Oregon City Together, Oregon City School District. Thank you, Anne, for being here again.
Yes, thank you.
Michelle?
Use my slides or no?
We can, yeah.
I mean, have they seen them?
No.
Not
Is
yet.
it what you showed at the commission meeting?
No, it's a shorter set.
It's a shorter, just a few slides, yeah. We don't have to use them if you don't want to.
Whatever works, whatever you want, so. Not guaranteeing we're gonna be able to see it. Will it work on our screens this time?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, okay, cool.
sorry, sometimes we've done stuff and it's like, doesn't show up there and we're like,
I wanna make- I also
and
wanna make
doing
it-
that is just really,
And I need to make sure.
hard
Mike
on the
can
neck
see
there.
it.
Yeah, we don't want you to have to do that, for sure. Great.
And I don't wanna turn my back to you, so,
I understand.
yeah.
Mike, can you see that?
You can see it, yes, you're nodding? Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Okay, sweet. And this is my little,
Well, because it's a PDF that you shared with me, the clicker won't work, so
Okay.
I'll just scroll it as you talk.
okay, great.
All right, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you again tonight and resubmit our grant application. My name is Ann Haynes, and I'm with Oregon City Together. With me is Michelle Stroh, the chairperson, and there are several of our coalition members in the audience, and I want to make sure to mention especially Lee, who is a student who participated in the resilience campaign this last year, and her mom brought her, and she's decided to join the coalition and work with us as a youth leader with us as a result of the project last year. And we are requesting your support to combine and repeat two programs that have been funded in the past by Oregon City, one by the Oregon City Enhancement Grant and one by the Youth Opioid Prevention Grant. And this is upstream prevention, primary prevention, which means we try to grab folks before they fall in the stream and need treatment or recovery or any other kind of substance use help. There you go. There's the upstream. And then, so the first program is our fentanyl and other drug awareness campaign. That's a project that educates both youth and families about the dangers of fentanyl and other drugs through a youth-led project, including, or it has included, school assemblies, a 5th grade poster contest, community forum, and a student video contest. We also spread the word this last year through billboards, social media, and school channels. And last year, the campaign reached more than 3,500 students directly, had over 122,000 digital impressions, and 220,000 billboard views. All of those are focused on the Oregon City area. Most importantly, we saw a 16.6% increase in parents who said they spoke to their kids about the dangers of fentanyl. The second portion of the campaign is the Youth Mental Health Resilience Campaign, which several of you are familiar with because you saw it last week when I did my recap. This campaign is also designed and led by Oregon City High School students with themes like this year's, which is Resilience Isn't Born, It's Built. Through posters, stress relief tools, and workshops, we engaged nearly 70,000 youth in the area and surrounding areas and 17,000 parents and caregivers. The surveys showed that students gained stronger coping and emotional regulation skills, and the percentage of 11th graders reporting excellent mental health increased by 5% this year in the student health survey as opposed to the 2022 survey. So that was an excellent number. Together, these programs don't just raise awareness, they empower the youth to lead, to create, and to influence their peers while strengthening protective factors that help keep kids safe. And kids, keep empowering our youth is what helps. Those are the building blocks to a great community now and a healthy and great community later. So looking ahead with your support, we plan to expand both campaigns, refresh the creative materials, and launch new peer-led workshops to deepen student engagement across the schools and the broader community. In short, the investment will save lives, build resilience, and strengthen families here in Oregon City. These are just a few of the pictures from the events this year.
Is that Socrates with the glasses on?
The kids picked that out, I think so, yes. Yeah, they did. They picked all the branding materials, so I thought it was pretty clever, actually. Yeah. Any questions?
I just got involved with Oregon City Together once I joined the school board when we put the first Narcan policy in for, we were the second school in the state of Oregon to do a Narcan policy. In losing my son, I had two choices. I could stay silent and not tell our family secrets and watch other families bury their children. Or I could take a deep breath and educate not only the students, but their families that they are aware. Keaton, my son, was 25, and he was the very first fake pill death in Oregon City. And so with my work with Oregon City Together and with Oregon City Police Department and with Oregon City School District, we have reached so many students that will come up to me in the grocery store. Hey, you're the lady that talked. Will you talk to my mom? And I love being able to say, let me educate you, because I didn't have that opportunity. And that's why we're dependent on your guys' help. Thank you.
Are there questions? Eric?
Do you find that the students seem more receptive in receiving these messages from other students than maybe they would hearing it from teachers or adults?
For sure. There's sort of a saying in the prevention world, nothing about you without you, meaning without engaging youth, it's really just, they're not hearing it. You know, it's just kind of a lot of like the teacher and Charlie Brown. So yeah, it really, it really it's evidence-based that when youth are empowered to create their own messages, because they know what's going on with them, right? It's much more effective.
Judy?
No, I have no questions.
Adam?
Yes, thank you. I was pleased to see the benchmarks that you included, specifically I think it was 16% increase in parents who talk to their children.
Yeah.
I do have concerns about some of the benchmarks or the goals that are lower percentages, not because I don't think that they were attained, but just because those numbers are not statistically significant. So I would ask you to talk about that. And by statistically significant, I mean not that there wasn't a change, but just going off of surveys, we know that we've got those 95% confidence intervals that it'll fall in between a certain amount. And so that's why I say the statistically insignificant part. But I was wondering if you could talk about the part that the school district puts into this program and how that partnership works with the city.
Great. So they are our fiscal agent, and one of the new things that will be happening this year, I didn't get a chance to mention in my 3-minute deal, is that we are hiring a certified prevention specialist that will be housed in the school district. And this is something we've been working towards for a long time, so we're really excited about that. And so in coordination with me and the coalition, this person will be helping implement these projects in the school district. So or in the schools, themselves. So it's going to be much more hands-on. I mean, I go in and we do programs, and we had our trainer, Nigel was there and all of that, but this is just another level, which is going to be great, where the school district will be even more involved, and they're more invested also that way.
So they will be a district employee?
Yes.
Are you technically a district employee?
Technically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scott?
No questions.
Christine?
Regarding your match, it's obviously both the cash and the in-kinds. It said 7,500, I believe, in cash. But you also, in your narrative, note the chopping block that mental health has taken. Do you actually have that 7,500?
Yes, that's coming from the Clackamas County grant that we received. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that question as well.
Yeah.
Frankie? So I know you mentioned this before, so please forgive me with all the numbers and things in my head. So the Oregon City School District, as we all know, has a larger population than in-city residents. And I know at one presentation, I recall you mentioning just a general percentage of the students that you're outreaching to. It was like, I'm trying to remember, so correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you said it was more than 50% of your outreach were students who actually lived in Oregon City as opposed to the broader area of the school district. So I'm going from memory.
So I'm wondering if that's a memory of the way we were focusing our social media.
That could
perhaps.
That could be.
Probably, yeah. And so that's a geographical thing that we can do on Meta to pick where they live. So that's how we do that. Now, I can't tell you if they might live in Redmond and have an Oregon City address. I'm not
Redland,
sure.
yes.
Because
hopefully not in Redmond.
Meta doesn't share that.
Hopefully not in Redmond.
Redland, yeah. I'm thinking about Redmond because we're going to training in a couple of weeks. Yeah, so, but that's how we target that. And then, of course, all the students are in the district, and I'm assuming those are majority Oregon City residents.
Majority, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with Adam. I appreciated the fact that you had taken your methodology and you applied it, and you said we had this percentage of this outreach and that percentage. I mean, it's really helpful to understand how it's been changing over time so that we can understand what the reach is.
Right.
I think it's important that, those types of things, and I was glad to see, and thank you for asking that, Christine, about the Clackamas County Youth Substance Abuse Prevention, because I think really what these are all about are how these funds can be partnered with others, as opposed to being us
Right.
being the sole source
Right.
of funding, which, may not be there one year to next year. And I know
Right.
you made the statement in here that the SAMHSA funding is, it's unfortunate. But
Right.
we won't even get into that topic, but, so that was pretty much the question I had.
And I think it's important to remember too, that with prevention, it's not a one and done
No,
thing.
it's
It's
not.
one of those long-term things that we could be sitting here in 10 years and being able to quote these numbers would be great. And it takes a while to see what happens with the effort and the outcomes.
Yeah, I also appreciate the fact that under number 11, you gave some very detailed descriptions of your in-kind match and what that was. Again, that just helps me understand how the program is working in conjunction. So it's not just, like you say, it's not a one and done thing. It's a coalition of different organizations that are working towards a common goal to try to achieve an outcome. And again, it's not something that's going to continue to happen. We can't just say, okay, we're done now, let's move on to the next thing. So
Right.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for the supporters in the background. If you want to just raise your hand for a minute so we can see. Thank you. All right, Willamette Falls Symphony.
Hello, I'm Carol Dumond, a resident of the Park Place neighborhood, and I'm on the board of Willamette Falls Symphony, which is in the newly reconstituted South End neighborhood.
I'm Mark Perlman. I'm the music director of Willamette Falls Symphony, and I live in West Lynn, right across the river. We are coming to start our 44th season. We were founded in 1981. The orchestra's grown a lot since then, but we have quite a history in Oregon City, and we rehearse and perform at Oregon City United Methodist Church, and we've been there for over 20 years. This season, we're planning 6 concerts plus 3 school concerts in Oregon City elementary schools. And we've been recording attendance from audience and also the Oregon City students, and we're expecting over 1,300 Oregon City residents to hear at least one of our concerts. Although sometimes when they say, I live in Oregon City, they don't tell us about city limits versus not when we ask them at the door. And sometimes they don't tell us anything. But we also have a new educational project that we are starting this year, which is called the Twin Rivers Conducting Workshop, where we are having somewhere between 6 and 9 conductors come, and we're offering them time first with piano and string quintet and then with the orchestra to learn how to conduct. And this is quite a challenge for conductors, that everybody else, you can spend as much time as you can stand playing your instrument and practicing on your own. But a conductor, your instrument is the orchestra, and it's pretty hard to get a chance to conduct, especially when you're starting out. And so this workshop, which will be in November, will give these people a chance to come, and we have a visiting conducting teacher, and they're going to basically learn, make mistakes and correct them. And then the concert on November 9th will be all of these conducting students getting to have a public performance. We also had people participate in Porch Fest. I think it was August 9th. We were outside all day at the Highland Stillhouse in the sun. And one of the things that we are happy about is that we can say, we run very lean. Our administrative costs are 8.5%, as we reported in the grant materials. The costs that we have that we're asking for the grant are things like rent, buying music, buying licenses, performing licenses, insurance, music rental, and we do pay our principal string players And also our, occasionally we have a need for some extra players. If for some reason we don't have enough second violins, then we have to hire a couple of extras. But the vast majority of the orchestra is volunteer. And on the grant, Ann advised us, we had to put in an amount of in-kind donation, and we listed that as 30,000 equivalent. But the actual number is over 5,700 hours of volunteer time, with all of our musicians coming to rehearsals and concerts and board members volunteering their time. And that actually adds up to over $190,000 worth of in-kind contributions. I mean, it's a large number of people that come together every week. But for the purposes of not making our budget look crazy, we only put 30,000 on there. Couple of things that the grant would specifically allow that otherwise we cannot do. One of them is to give free admission for Oregon City residents, which we've been doing this past season, and also the school concerts. Basically, we get not the whole orchestra, but enough of them who can take a weekday off, and we get up bright and early because the first concert is like first thing in the school day, I don't know, 8:15 or 8:30. We get in a bus, we drive to the first school, we unload, we play a little concert, we load back up in the bus, we go to the next school, we unload, we play another concert, and then we go to the third school. And we are expecting over 1,000 students from these Oregon City schools. Again, the schools don't tell us how many live in the city limits versus not, but they just tell us the overall numbers. And, something like that, just the music that we're playing, Peter and the Wolf, costs $900 to do that one day of performance. Just to rent the music costs $900.
Thank you very much.
So I'm happy to answer questions if you have them.
All right, well, I'm going to go back to the top of the pops.
No questions, thank you.
Judy?
Yeah. What are your other funding sources outside of this grant?
We have donations from people. We have what we call a Silver Baton Society, Gold Baton Society, Platinum Baton Society, depending on how much people donate. So, we also have ticket sales. We also have some other grants. Some of them haven't actually made their decisions, but one that I'm very optimistic of. So we have money coming in from various sources, and also just people that donate, not in societies necessarily, but the vast majority of the amount of effort is the very large amount of in-kind volunteer time. But we also have other grants and donations that we get in addition to the Oregon City money from the Enhancement grant.
Clackamas County Cultural Coalition, Oregon Cultural Fund, although they have not been, we are always applying for grants because symphonies eat money. And we want to bring the music to the people here, and this is the way to do it.
Carol, can you just pull that mic just a tad bit closer to you? Because your
Thank you.
head was turned that way and the mic was going that way.
I know better than that. Thank you, Denise.
Everybody does it. I do it myself as well. Sometimes that thing is pointed in the wrong direction.
That's the old saying, speak directly into the microphone.
Sometimes they say eat it, but you don't have to do that with these.
Was there anything that I said that you didn't get?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I can read lips somewhat, so. Christine?
Yeah, I guess, I appreciate, your reflection on your measures of success, satisfaction. In terms of your audience, obviously the school kids, I understand who they are. Can you speak a little bit more to your audience? I saw the report. It looks like about, on average, a third from Oregon City. But who hears about these concerts? How do you advertise? What's your anecdotal sense of who folks are?
Well, a lot of them are people that know someone in the orchestra and family and friends. We also have a social media campaign for every concert. Other things, we make these, what do you call them?
Concert cards.
Concert cards that we give to local businesses. And,
Oh, we bring them to local businesses and they let their patrons take them. So,
and
What is that?
basically, it's a little piece of paper that tells them when the concerts
Oh,
are.
okay,
Like,
okay.
well, the Still House, they like us because we have a history of going there for an after rehearsal beverage every week.
I see.
And also, you know, one of the things we can say, I remember you were asking one of the other groups, how do you know about people who are coming to your concert and then spending money in Oregon City? After every concert, we have a after-concert celebration in the Still House, and we see people that came to the concert that are now eating dinner at this. I mean, this is not a commercial for the Still House, but they do have really good fish and chips. And it's the only place I know you can get.
Right.
I don't know if you can get haggis anywhere else in the neighborhood.
probably not.
Not that
If
you
you
would want
are
it.
brave enough. But we see people that, you know, they just came from the concert and now they're eating dinner there.
Count them next time.
Well, yeah. It is
It would be
difficult.
interesting to know. I mean, people
It
make
would.
these very broad general statements that it's good for the economy, but it's a statement. We don't have any, you know, gee, I was at the Still House last week and 15 of the people I know that went to the concert were there. I mean, anyway, thank you, Christine.
We're just saying that they are there. We know they're there because we see them.
But we don't.
I know.
Right.
We can't.
Rocky,
No questions.
Scott,
I just have one question. Reading through the goals that you're saying your project meet, one of them you listed that I'm just wondering if it's kind of anecdotal or if you have anything for it. You mentioned that this will increase the attractiveness or market value of residential, commercial, and industrial areas. And I know in your application, you know, you say symphonies make communities more attractive, but I'm just wondering, again, aside from anything anecdotal, if you have anything to back that up.
Well, I don't think we have any studies or anything like that, but generally speaking, the more amenities a community has, the more attractive it is. And I definitely think a symphony orchestra is an amenity. And if, you know, hick towns don't have symphony orchestras.
Oop, watch out.
I know.
Somebody from a hick town.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I think the Arts Alliance folks would say the same thing, that this is something that's probably one of the hardest things that you can draw a direct cause and effect connection. But having a thriving arts community makes the city more attractive and makes people want to be there, makes people want to go downtown. So, yeah, we don't have a direct line of cause and effect, but it's a cumulative thing that the more arts-related things that are going on in a community, the more attractive it is.
Michael,
Nothing for me.
Adam?
Yes. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the marketing, specifically the social media, and if you don't have hard numbers off the top of your head, that's fine, but how has your investment in that changed and how have you seen that return? Because for me, and I think for a lot of people up here, we were unaware of this organization until last year when you had first applied. And since then, I've been able to attend performances that I've greatly enjoyed. And the Mahler Festival was excellent. So, but I want more people to know about it. So I'm just curious how that has evolved for you over the years.
Well, that's something it's a big problem. I mean, 30 years ago, everybody knew how you advertise. You just put an ad in the paper, and the more money you have, the bigger the ad can be, and then people will see it. Everything has changed. That doesn't work anymore. And, you know, there used to be, you know, a handful of TV stations. Now there's 500, plus there's YouTube, plus there's, I mean, people's attention is got so many different, more outlets. And it's really hard to know what's the key to breaking through. The Mahler Festival, I forgot to mention that, but it wasn't in Oregon City, but we do sponsor that. And we've used radio ads for the Mahler Festival. And I'm on the fence about whether those equate to audience coming to the concert, as opposed, you know, the cost-benefit analysis that, so these days, social media is the number one thing but it's really hard to measure how many of those people, I mean, other than we do occasionally survey our audiences and say, how did you hear about us? And some of them do hear from social media, but the cost benefit of, you can get so many clicks on Facebook, does that equate to people coming to the concert? And it's really, I think it's more of a challenge than it ever has been before to just get people's attention, because there are so many things vying for their attention. And it used to be much simpler, and we're doing that. We're looking at, if we spend money on ads, on online ads, are they equating to audience? If they don't equate to people coming, then we shouldn't be doing that. We should do something else. But that's a really difficult thing to, we're thinking about, is it possible to put banners over the street in downtown Oregon City or something, big public things, or billboards?
Unfortunately, no.
Do people look at billboards?
One, we have one place, but it's on Malala Avenue.
But I guess just more I guess just more generally, have you noticed an increase? Not that we're asking all of our audience members and this X amount said, we heard about you from this area, but have you noticed anecdotally an increase since those investments in social media?
Well, I think I'm confident to say that we are growing audience progressively. And last December, we had a family concert, and the place was packed. We asked the pastor, have you ever seen this many people in this room? And he's been there for years. I think, I've never seen this many. We're almost in danger of either needing to have more performances, or find a bigger venue. Venues are another big problem, that we don't have that many choices. And the church has been very good to us. And, public school auditoriums are a possibility, except it's very, very difficult to get scheduled in those. And very difficult for them to promise you a date that they can't take away later. And we can't operate like that. We have to tell people, here's the date. We have to tell them, in the spring for the entire next season. And that's one of the problems for working from using schools' auditoriums, is schools usually will not guarantee you dates. If the choir teacher wants that date, then you get booted. And that makes it hard for us to use those kinds of facilities.
Well, thank you. I just want to encourage you to continue in that, because I will say, for me, the reason why I went to the Mahler Festival was because I saw the ad on my Facebook the day of, and I was free that evening. So
that's great.
I would encourage you to continue in that strategy.
Thank you for the feedback.
Put a check mark next to, did our social media work? Check.
Okay, well, I get to be last again. So I was going to bring up the same question that Scott did. I guess I would say I laughed about it, because I said, well, there's no documentation of the market value of the homes in our area. And I do know several economists, and I asked one of them, happened to see about a week ago, I said, have you done any studies on market value of homes versus, arts in a community? And there have been there's some out there. So I would just say that I wouldn't say that, but we don't know that. It's anecdotal, and I appreciate the fact that you were trying. I think you tried in your application to indicate to us some metrics, but we heard from another applicant that they have targeted their marketing to different clicks so they know where it's going, and I would definitely strongly suggest that you take that under advisement, because there is a way to track it. I was very... I had a question mark here next to where you say, in addition, we've reached out to local senior living facilities. Well, if they're in Oregon City, that's where they live, and you could easily get some of that information. So I think that's a good thing, because it's been proven statistically with elderly who are, whether they're totally cogent or whether they're in, throes of dementia, that music does benefit that, and there's proven documentation of that. So I think that's another place you could get some information that would be really helpful. So I guess, like I asked one of the other applicants, so if we don't fund this project, I'm sure you have an answer for that, but why should we fund this?
Well,
and if we don't fund it, what are the consequences? And on your part, so.
A couple of concrete consequences are, we're not going to be able to offer free admission, and we're not going to be able to do the school concert at all. So there's 1,000 school kids who won't get a concert this year if we don't get a grant, because it's expensive to do the school concerts. We think they're really important. It's not magic. We're not going to make all these school kids start becoming musicians because of one concert, but we have this effort of, we go to them and they get to hear an orchestra live in their gym, and that's something that is completely dependent on this grant in particular.
We also try, as far as we can, to present music composed by by composers in underrepresented groups. And the problem with that is people who have been historically underrepresented haven't had access to symphonies until recently. And so most of them who have written symphonic music are still alive and need to eat and need royalties, large royalties. So it's a lot more expensive to present something like by Margaret Brower than by Beethoven, who's been dead for a long time and doesn't really care. So
You don't know that?
I'm sure.
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, I saw that in there and I thought, okay, and who might that be? I would have just listed, but anyway,
We have-
interesting comment.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
get it.
definitely true in the classical world that a lot of concerts are music written by dead white guys, and we have tried to. I mean, we have a composer here. We played Carol's music. Music by women is sorely underrepresented. Music by Black composers, Latina composers, other groups are just sorely underrepresented. But those compositions are typically rental only, and even to rent a 5-minute overture can cost you $500. To rent a full symphony will be over $1,000, and that's the discount they give to a little small budget group. The Oregon Symphony pays much, much more than that for the same piece. So that's part of it. Is there are lots of sources online that you can just print off Beethoven for free, and you just say, everybody go print it off of this website, and now we've got free music. Certain music that we would like to be programming, we can't do that with, and we have to spend quite a lot of money for the rental fees, and we feel the need to obey the copyright laws and pay the fees, and that costs money. So a lot of the music, branching out and playing newer music and playing music by even older composers, but if it's a new edition, then somebody's wanting it as a rental only, and that costs a lot.
Well, you'll be happy to know that there was a recent program on NPR called On Point that talked about composers of color, and they went into this about 6 months ago, so very aware.
we did a Florence Price symphony this year.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will be taking a break after this next one.
For the last, right?
Yep.
Well, good evening, members. It's nice to be last, at least. Pardon for my address, but I came from the state fair and traffic led me right here, unfortunately.
We don't have a dress code.
Well, I just want to make sure that I was. I'm sure glad to know.
If you want us to have one, we will. Okay.
My name is John DeHaas, and I represent Believe Education Foundation as their executive director, and I'll let Steve introduce himself.
I'm Steve Leitz, co-founder of Believe Education Foundation. We are a female Hispanic-owned 501c3, and we're dedicated to the pollinators and their habitat. That's one of our big tenets. Our second big tenet is to feed the hungry with our honey that we produce, so that goes to charity. And then our third tenet is that we pay for scholarships through Oregon State University, books and tuition for veterans to become beekeepers. It's a compassionate way for them to nurture their way back to work. We've come with, I'm co-founder with Dahlia, my wife, who I brought with me. And let's get started. This project is important environmentally. There are numerous endangered species, or at least close to endangered species in there. One of them is a red-legged frog. The other is the pond turtle. And there's a strong presence of cutthroat trout, which is unheard of in city limits. So these, we feel that these species need to be protected. And by doing this project, we will open this area up with trails. We'll clean the blackberries, we'll plant native plants. We'll plant shade over the creek to protect the fish. And we will put in, we've got a strong relationship with Oregon State University. So what we'll do is we'll put in a research apiary for their PhD students to do research. Not to mention there will be a interpretive center on the property. I brought Dan Tews. He's our landowner. He's given us full permission. That is stated within your guidelines, that if we have permission, and if we are doing public good, which I think I've just addressed, that we're acceptable. Letters of support, we've got a pretty good packet there. That brings up a little bit of confusion. And we had confusion last time. That's why we're back here, because we weren't able to get through your application process, and especially this time when you changed it, we had to write an addendum and actually get that in here, and we had to struggle to get that addendum into your process. Have you read it? Okay, so it's a little bit strongly worded, but we felt that we were unfairly treated. So Metro Enhancement grants within the Oregon City area. Dan Fowler had a grant approved on Abernathy Creek. So that, you guys had a beef with that last time, that we couldn't do it on a privately owned property. This was done. You had a beef with the fact that we have a sanctuary there. Dan Tews Sanctuary, the Tews Wildlife Sanctuary, is in accordance with the Bird Alliance of Oregon Wildlife Sanctuary, Oaks Bottom, public land and private land, Wildlife Farm Sanctuary, on and on. I think you've read this. They're highlighted. Let's see. So within this project, we will be using at-risk youth through the ROCT or ROTC from Oregon City High School. So we will be paying those kids to come in and actually do the clearing and teaching them to do the work. So we're actually providing a very strong work ethic to some kids that may not be able to get that work ethic.
Along with the other guy, Rick.
Yeah, Rick. Well, he's the guy.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, these are goals that we have. This will be open to the public. There will be trails. And I'd like Mr. Tews, if it's possible, to have him come up and address you a little bit. It's not possible?
You're gonna run out of time.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
We're open for questions.
Yeah, we're open for questions.
All right, Judy?
I do not have any questions.
Scott?
I would be curious to hear from Mr. Tews about keeping public access available on this site.
Okay, well, let's get through the commission questions.
Okay.
Michael?
I have the same concern that Scott just mentioned.
Eric?
No questions, thank you.
Christine?
I'd echo just the request to hear the public access and the agreement, not just for now, but in a perpetuity.
Rocky?
Same, and I think I will make a comment on the Abernathy project, which I believe was on city property, on Abernathy near Fowler's property, but not on Fowler's
Yeah,
property.
no, yeah. Let
My
me-
information that it was on his property.
Yeah, let me make
I
a
do not
correction.
believe that's the truth.
There is no Metro Enhancement funding being used for that project that Mr. Fowler is involved in. That has nothing to do with this program. So we have not funded projects on private property. That is not a Metro Enhancement project. So unfortunately, you may have gotten some misinformation. That's not correct.
Okay.
So sorry. Just want to make sure that the record is correct.
Okay. Now, I would like to ask anybody with a personal grudge here to recuse themselves.
Excuse me? No, you do not.
That's exactly what I'd like to say.
Steve, I'm sorry, but you don't have the ability to do that. We've already gone through our.
I know you did.
We've
I know
gone through
you
our
did.
ex parte
And I think
contacts.
there was, and I think it was,
Excuse me, sir,
okay, but
please.
I'm not testifying.
Just calm down.
Good.
Yeah. We have gone through, and every person on this group has stated whether they had a conflict or any bias of any sort. So that has been taken care of.
So there are no personal grudges.
Again, we have already declared whether there were conflicts or not.
Understood.
So that is, I think that your question is not appropriate, and we will not be entertaining that.
Understood.
So Dan, you've got about 2 minutes. This is a little bit unusual, but we will allow it.
It's not about music, so we'll just limit it to 2 minutes. My name is
Maybe,
Dan Tews.
maybe it is about music.
Thank you all for hearing me today. My name is Dan Tews. I'm the president of the Tews Wildlife Foundation. Originally started by my grandfather in 1964. You know, you've been there, you walked it with me. My grandfather started this in 1964. That lake was built to irrigate Berry Hill, the entire Berry Hill, 150 acres, which I still own the water rights to. In 1964, when my grandpa took it over, he turned it into a bird refuge. Since 1964, the Tews family has completely and totally funded the project. All the erosion caused by the city's stormwater, which runs 900 acres through my property, our Tews family property. And you guys all know this because you paid for a study by Kimpy and Associates in the 90s. You might remember that too.
Nope.
It helped you plan the development of Glen Oak Road, the high schools, and all of that. It was done by, I believe, Kimpy and Associates. That's when Charlie Leeson, I think, was a city manager. He was my uncle. It also affected your Myers Road development. I know because you were there studying the pond and runoff from the development, making sure. And of course, I know people at Canby Excavating working on the project. So when Bruce Cement bought all the property and built all the townhouses, and that's when you toured it, some stormwater issues that we were having with Nancy. A lot of that got taken care of, and some of the problems before Oregon City implemented it as erosion control laws, which they did a tremendous job afterwards of protecting the waterways. I've been there my whole life. So I've been doing community service in Oregon City for my entire life, helping my grandfather, who spent his entire life doing community service here, 35 years on the Parks Board. I could go on forever. I worked at the Environmental Learning Center as a child with my grandfather who built it, and I still to this day pay for the power to irrigate the lake, protect the fish. I bought the undevelopable land from Bruce Cement, and my plan is to donate all that undevelopable land in the watershed area that wasn't part of the Tews original property. And that's why I created the Tews Wildlife Foundation in the name of my grandfather, who did so much for this city. That land will be donated separate from the original Tews property, which is about half of the lake, Tews Lake, which Mayor Williams named legally for all the work that I did helping. I also am a founding member of the Greater Oregon City Watershed Council and worked on the first Greater Oregon City Watershed Council grant that did do work on Dan Feller's property on Abernathy Creek. I was there, I did the work, I pulled the tires out.
Are you talking about a recent grant?
No, we're talking about
I think Mr. Graham is going to be,
a bazillion years ago.
Oh, okay, well, then we may not.
So I plan on donating this to answer Mr. Wilson's request for comment, and thank you for that. I plan on leaving Oregon City. I'll be the last twos in 150 years to live in this city. But that, my family was the third judge in this district. The first, A.J. Tews was school superintendent that built the first high school in Oregon City. But anyway, so I know a lot about history and natural resources of this city. But I'm going to leave that property in the foundation's name. And I spent so much of my time with Jerry Herman and growing up and volunteering at the Environmental Learning Center and spending all that time with my grandfather volunteering, from Meals on Wheels to 35 years with the Parks Boards, that I also have dedicated the last 45 years of my life to the city. I've coached every sport over 15 years and gone on and on forever.
Dan, I think
But you're accessing that property will be, I would like to build a new interpretive center. I have plans with or without Oregon City. But I plan on building an interpretive center and allowing that property and that access, which is being supported by the neighborhood associations.
Dan, excuse me, I think you're over
The
your
rest,
time.
the access
Dan,
permanently.
Can you wrap it? So the question
Yeah, I'm
was.
done.
No, sit.
I just wanna ask
You
the
didn't really answer the question. The question was, Mr. Wilson was asking about the transfer of the property from you to the foundation.
Yeah.
So,
And access.
So
And access, so-
that, I
Can you
don't.
keep it short?
I'm not explaining all of that because it's in the process. That land has to be first appraised and donated. It first became a state entity, which it is now.
So when do you anticipate doing that?
Well, we're working on it. Right
Okay.
now, it has to be, I don't know how long it takes.
A year, 6 months?
Probably a year.
Okay.
So we're just getting it appraised now so that we have a value to donate to the foundation.
Is it, donate to
us.
their
To-
foundation?
No, to the Tews Wildlife Foundation.
Okay.
It can never be, it won't be my property. It'll be the foundation's property. It has a board of directors, meets all the requirements of the nonprofit.
I just wanted to know if it was under ownership of the foundation already or not. It's
No,
not, so-
it
got
will be. All that property that was not developable on the, and I personally think, and I wish that the city would concentrate more on the Bonneville Power Administration easements
We are
all through
getting-
your city.
Yeah, we are getting
Not sure
way,
what
way
the-
off
I agree with this.
way off the topic. So I apologize. We're getting way off the topic.
Sorry, I just want to clarify my question, very
Yeah.
simple,
Yeah.
yes or no. Can you guarantee ongoing public access to the property, to the area?
Yeah, there will be if it's not completely and totally privately funded by me forever. There will be access. If people want to work on it, which they do, then there will be. I have already planned on donating all that land. It will only be public if the public is involved.
Thank you.
Otherwise, nobody can go down there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for
You're
your
not off the
time.
hook yet.
Okay, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, there may be other questions. I have my list, so
I'm sure
I'm
you
asking my committee members. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, well, I'll get, Mike, Judy?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
So on the measurement, when we're talking about measurement of meeting the goals, talking about the trails and those things, what is the time period that that's going to be accomplished in?
We should be able to accomplish this within a year.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I think we brought that up last time, and that question was asked last time.
Right. And number one on this letter that we wrote, do I have to read this into the record?
We have the packet.
I know you do.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
you don't.
Can you read the number one on the letter to me?
I don't know which letter we're talking about.
That we are responding concerns heard.
No, I'm not going to do that, thank you.
Oh, would you like me to read it to you?
No, we
Okay.
have it. We have it
Oh,
in the
yeah,
packet.
understood. It says project being considered on
Steve,
private
excuse-
land, Metro Enhancement Grant criteria states, if the project is located on private land,
Steve?
public, am I being gavelled?
No,
Are you to me?
I'm just trying to get your attention.
Okay,
Steve,
yeah.
we have all of this information in our packet, and we have reviewed it.
Okay, so your criteria states,
We are now in the question phase, we're not in the testimony
I
phase
know, but you're
anymore.
questioning whether that land, that private land can be used. Your criteria states that it can be used. Where are we going with this?
Steve, we're not-
Are you gonna jump up and say we're not gonna do this again?
Steve, we are not trying to be argumentative with you, you are,
We haven't gone through our, well, because
I mean, tell me we're not being treated unfairly.
We didn't-
had to
okay,
go in there.
I'm gonna call a brief recess right now. We're taking a 5-minute recess right
Oh,
now.
okay, that's fine.
Okay, so let's just take a break. Take a 5-minute recess and then we'll come back. Call the Metro Enhancement Grant, the Enhancement Grant Program Committee meeting back into session. We got Steve back on yet? Are we on? Because I need to.
I see you give me thumbs up.
Okay, all right, so we're back in session. So with the support of the commission, our committee, I would like to move to having Mr. Zook come in. I think that we have gotten as much information as we can get at this point in time. So do I have your concurrence on that to move ahead? Okay. Thank you so much. Is Matt in his space?
Yes, there he is. He's coming up.
Hi, Matt. Oh, excuse me, Mike, are you okay with that? We move forward with the presentation by Mr. Zook? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zook, we're so happy to see you. We wish you were here in person. Are you sitting in your office?
I am.
Okay.
What is it that I can do for you?
Well, what would you like to tell us about the, and then we'll go into discussion, the amount of funds we have and where we are with that?
Okay, sure. So, I'll do this verbally. I'm looking at a screen with some numbers on it, and I'll
That's
show
fine.
you. You'll see that at the end after all the scoring is complete. But so from the beginning of this grant process, the committee made a decision to award up to $400,000 in this 25-26 grant period. So round one awards awarded were $321,876, leaving $78,124 to award in round two. So you, as Mr. Graham indicated earlier, the 6 applications that you received this evening total $158,204. So there is more requests than remaining grant funds available.
Can you just say that number? Oh, there it is, 158,204.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the committee, from a financial standpoint, the committee would need to decide how they want to divvy up the remaining 78,000, whether that's on a prioritization basis or it's a ratio of the remaining amongst all of the applicants. I still I received scores from 3 people that responded to the scoring sheets that went out in advance. As you know, we leave those score sheets available for you to finalize during the interview process. So each of you has, a paper copy of those, and we can collect those at the right time and come back to you with the results of the scoring that we typically do. So.
I'm just trying to find, Mr. Graham, I'm trying to locate the final score sheet. I've got my individual ones, but do you want us to input it onto is it in this? I don't see it.
There were some
You should have.
blank ones in your packet that was presented.
Okay, well, I have that. I was looking at the one where we just put them all across. I've got these.
That spreadsheet is not in the packet.
Oh, okay.
I've got that here on my screen,
Okay.
and I'll share that.
Okay,
with the
well, I
committee
mean, we
as soon as
can,
I get-
do you want us to we can give you,
Individual.
pardon?
Just fill out the individual.
Right, I did that. So we can, yeah, okay, I can give mine to Ann. I was going back through really quickly. So let's just maybe, if you like me are gonna make some changes to your score sheets, let's just take a few minutes to get those all together, and then we'll turn them into Ann.
I'll come back to you after I get all the sheets and tally them up.
Okey dokey.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's recess while we finish our scoring sheets and turn them into staff. So taking a brief recess. thank you. Apparently, finance is ready.
All right. Thank you, committee. Let me share my screen, as we typically do.
So I think one of the things that we'll need to be talking about whether we're going to fund anybody full or partial. I mean, we have some options.
Is my spreadsheet showing on your screen?
Not yet. It's the magic of the computer.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. So here are the results. Tabulation, we have 8 of the 9 committee members with their scores, and I sorted by the average score. The average is taking into consideration everybody except for the absent member. And so these are the results right here in this order.
Pardon me, Matt, is there any way you could make that a little bigger?
I was actually hoping to make it smaller.
Yeah, he's gonna make it smaller. Maybe just collapse the column and get to the average score. Maybe that would be.
Yeah, we could do that. We can absolutely do that. How about this? Sorry, I don't drive well at 9 p.m., so.
Yeah, it's past bedtime for some people.
Thanks, Matt.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
But we don't see the scores now.
Yeah, well, let's look at this and then he can do it the other way and show.
The average scores are still here. I just collapsed it.
Yeah, the average.
Yeah, I just collapsed the individual scores. And then, if you were to take the top 3 and fund them, you are at 75,950 out of 78. So you would be able to fund all the top 3 plus a little bit into the 4th one. So as an example, if you were to fully award these top 3, you can see that 75,000 would be awarded. That would leave you $2,100 left. And you can apply that how you want. Now, that's just if you go by a full grant award for the top 3. I'm going to clear this back out. I think you understand the position you're in, and you turn it back over to the committee to decide how you want to proceed.
Thoughts, people?
Does the ranking change at all if we do total score or average? You know what I mean?
It's the average. He takes it just like we've always done. We take them all and then we average it out. So,
The denominator is the same.
it's going to be the same. It's
Yeah.
not going to change anything.
Okay.
So do we have anybody that is interested in funding the first 3 fully? Or the first 1, first 2?
What are some different options?
Well, we could fund, we have the option of funding projects fully. We have the option of funding partially. We have the option of not funding. Those are basically our options. I think there's a clear break between the first 3 and the last 3.
Look, I'll jump in.
Sure.
This lines up pretty darn close to the way I had them ranked. Pardon me.
It's okay.
I have a concern with partial funding. Does the whole project fall apart? If there's a substantial reduction in the award request, and we don't have any way of knowing that. There's a pretty clear drop in the average score between number 3 and number 4 on the list, and so I would be in favor of funding the first 3 in full.
Okay, you want to make that a motion?
I might be a little soon for that.
Well, but we get it on the table for discussion.
Okay, then I'll make that motion to fund the first three on this list in full.
Is there a second? Okay, well, I will second it for the purposes of discussion. Thoughts? We can go down the line again.
I might like to at least entertain another option if someone has it, some
Well,
sort of.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. So if you have another option, you could make an amendment to vote as part of this motion, or you can vote to not approve this motion and then come up with a different motion. So that's kind of what our options are. Judy?
Are we voting?
Not yet.
Okay.
Just asking for discussion.
I'm doing crunching some numbers right now, and when I get done, I'll come up with an idea.
Okay. Scott?
Sure. So I think this is tough because I think there are quite a few projects that are great, right? And we wish we could fund all of them. One of the things I do just want to say, and again, this is my belief, my personal opinion, is, as we look at the Metro Enhancement Grant funding, one of the things that I look at, and I think it's been mentioned before, is tangible things. And I feel like if we look at that, my personal opinion is the Believe Education Foundation is a tangible project that leaves a lasting change, right? Improves the community, improves the local habitat, it gives educational opportunities. I think it's interesting that it's further down on the list, but yeah, that's my opinion on that, is I would ask for it to be reconsidered, because it is a tangible project.
Other thoughts?
I'd be happy to entertain somebody's amendment to my motion because I agree with what Commissioner Wilson just said. I also am always looking for a tangible item, which that does. So if anybody wants to modify my amendment, I'm more than happy to hear that.
Go ahead, Adam.
I agree with the sentiment as well about the having something that's tangible, but also something that's publicly accessible. And we have heard comments addressing those concerns. I just wonder if some of the question marks that were still left means that this would be better left for a future grant cycle when those questions have been answered.
I would totally concur with that. As I stated before, that I think this project has a lot of potential. I do not support funding projects that are on private property, which would require the city to come up with some kind of, I don't know what kind of an agreement to allow for public access, and I don't think that was the intent of the program. We have not funded projects on private property, and I think this project has a lot going for it. Unfortunately, we're not able to answer all the questions, but I think it does, and I suggested last year, please come back when you've got the transfer in, not completed, but in hand, that it's in process, because I think the project has some merit.
Just out of curiosity, because, I don't know about you, what would the city have to come up with, as
We'd
far as
have to
access?
talk-
I think that would be incumbent on.
We would have to
the
talk to our
landowners.
legal counsel, and, there might be encumbrances that have to be put on the property. It would just be better if we had the entity, the 501c3, have the ownership of it. That takes care of it. And that's gonna happen. He's got lots of projects process that has to happen. I understand when you are going to put a value on a piece of property, there's things that have to happen. And I know that unfortunately attorneys will be involved. Love the attorneys, but attorneys will be involved. There has to be documentation to establish the value, as was stated. There's a lot going on with that. So I know that is a process.
Fully agree.
Go ahead.
So when I went through the applications the first time for the first round, the Believe Education Foundation was toward the top of my list. And so the only reason why I do have those concerns at this point is because of experiences we've had in the past. I know that there were the grants that we've given out, for example, for the string lights on d.OC that didn't come to fruition, and I'm not going to talk about whose fault that may be, but I think the fact remains that because there were questions that were unanswered at the time that we awarded that grant, we were then unable to expend those funds for another project in that grant cycle because we didn't know whether it would be.
We didn't know what we didn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Rocky?
So I guess my problem with that is we got the answers
Which project?
tonight for the Believe project. We got the answers.
Well,
I don't know what
I
questions
didn't
were
get my
unanswered.
questions answered,
well,
so.
let me
yeah.
finish.
No, go ahead, sorry.
Our grant record, so yes, there probably is other issues to deal with in terms of public access, but our, as pointed out this evening and in the past, our requirement, or our actual criteria opens the door for private property. It's very clear. So if that affected people's votes, then that says something about their ranking, because that shouldn't have been a factor in your ranking to that degree if it's part of our main criteria, that it's allowed. I get having concerns about the other thing, but if it's allowed, then later on find out how to deal with the public access piece, or don't have that as a criteria.
Well, one of the reasons why it did impact my score was because one of the criteria was the organization's ability to carry out the project. And so that's where it was
And
dinged
that-
for me.
Sure,
Yeah.
I get that.
And that wasn't clearly articulated. And I think I agree with the comment that was made about, partial funding. I know we did it a few years back, and it didn't quite cut the mustard, so to speak. I guess I'll use the euphemism. So I'm not sure it benefits our applicants to give everybody a little something when they still have to make up some other deficit that doesn't work and may not work.
Matt, would you bring up that spreadsheet again?
Yes.
See if the computer will behave and it'll do it.
Okay.
So Michael, I don't have anybody that's making an amendment to your motion.
I'll make an amendment to the motion. I would propose that we fund the Believe Education Foundation and Oregon City together.
Well, how is that going to work when the scores don't match up with that?
The scores aren't the rule, right? We make the decision, so.
Well, I agree, but we did do, we did rank them, and I don't feel good about that at all. I don't feel comfortable with that at all.
Scott, could you repeat
I
your?
didn't hear clearly what
He's saying,
Commissioner Wilson suggested.
he was saying that we fund Oregon City Together and Believe Education Foundation.
Yeah, well, do I have to accept an amendment?
Yes,
And I'm not going to accept that amendment. That basically rewrites. It isn't an amendment. It kind of destroys what I recommended, or
Yeah.
my motion.
Doesn't the person who made the motion have to amend it?
If we're better off,
No,
I'm happy to
we
withdraw
have
the
to,
motion
both
also.
the motion maker and the second have to agree to the amendment. And he's
Yeah,
not-
that's what I said, yeah.
He's not agreeing to it, and I don't agree
Right,
to
so
it.
his motion still stands.
Yes.
If it makes the process easier, I'm happy to withdraw the motion.
Well, let's vote it up or down. So Judy, do you have anything you want to add? You said you were crunching numbers or something or other.
I did crunch some numbers, and I was thinking about what my thoughts were as funding the first two 100%, funding the Arts Alliance 50%, and then giving the balance to Believe. That was my thoughts. But I'm not making a proposal at this point.
All right, let's let's vote on the motion.
So the motion
Is to fund the first three fully. Okay. So I'm going to start with you, Eric.
On the first three fully,
Yes.
aye.
Okay. Christine?
Aye.
Rocky? Hear the Jeopardy song playing
Yeah.
in my head.
I'll explain why later. I would
That's
say
okay.
no for
Okay.
now.
Adam?
Aye.
Scott?
No.
Judy?
Aye.
Okay, and I vote aye. Motion carries.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Oh, Commissioner Mitchell, yes. Okay, motion carries.
So, I don't disagree with Commissioner Wilson's motion either, but we have to understand that we all said that we were gonna and we know we're gonna do this every time because that's the way this group works, that every year that we go through this, we realize there's really huge problems with it and we redo it again the next year, and I'm sure that's gonna happen again this year.
Yes, because I'm calling for that request. That's the last thing I'm gonna do before we finish. I have that request.
I mean, that bothers me, and to say this to the public in general, this is a nightmare process. It's not fun, it's not enjoyable, and it really should be, because the truth is, we have this gift to give this money to the community, and yet most of us dread coming to this meeting. And I just said no on that. I agree that the top three should, get funded essentially, because that's our process. They came to the top three. The concern that I have is I don't think that the scores, and, I like transparency, right? Some of not seeing everyone's, you might have gotten a close glimpse at individual people's scores.
Well, he can expand it
Right.
back out.
But I think that some of the questions affected the scores, right? And we know that they do. So, and I can't, there is a gap between 6 and 7, there is a gap between what would be the third and the fourth grant. And I question that gap and how close that would have been with a different, if the meeting would have went differently. I think the process of the meeting changed those scores a little bit, because a lot of us had scores before, went in during the break. My scores changed, a lot of us, we all go through the scores before we come to this meeting, and then as we sit here and listen to the discussion, we change them. And so the discussion changes those scores. I wish there was more of the ability to see the fourth project on the list funded in some way or fully, but that's not the way the numbers worked out. I'm just questioning how the numbers worked out because of the process of the meeting. I hope we have a better process, but I've been doing this on this committee longer than anyone else, and we've never found a good process.
No, I think I've been doing it longer than you have.
The Metro Enhancement?
Yes. Because
I would
I was
argue
staff for it.
Well, staff don't make decisions.
No, but I worked on it longer than you have.
So
I didn't make any decisions. I worked on it longer than you have.
I wouldn't get, well, not making decisions and directing the change of the criteria. I would love to see us get to where this works and is fair, but there's so many variables. And like I said many times, no matter what the criteria is, we either change them the next year or pick and choose how we want each criteria to work or not work. And then there's so much variability in that we can, have that go any way we want. And the truth is, you could check all the criteria boxes and score high on them, and your project still sucks, right? And the other way around. So I'm not happy with it. I've never been happy with it. We try to do our best every year, and every year I think we get a little closer to it, but every year there's little things that pop up that we have concerns about. And I agree that in general, we tend to not want to see projects on private property, but our grant criteria flatly allows that. And if that was a criteria and people made judgments against it or scored it lower because of that particular thing, I think I have a problem with that. I know I have a problem with it, but
I would appreciate if we just stayed on point. Mr.
I can say whatever I want in a
I
public
didn't
meeting.
say, I'm not talking about you. I'm just.
You said Mr. and
I'm
said
talking
that we
about,
should
I
stick
started
to the
to
point.
said Mr.
Okay,
Morrow.
because I hope you're not trying to do
No,
that to me.
I was not trying to do anything to you.
Appreciate
I was trying to say Mr. Morrow.
Okay.
I haven't said anything
I
yet.
know,
and you're
I was
already-
calling on you. So I was saying Mr. Morrow, and he thought I was talking about him.
I thought.
Okay, well, I don't think you should be talking about me either.
I'm not talking about you. I was calling on you.
So I agree with a lot of what Commissioner Smith said. I know that it feels like we move the goalpost every single time because we think that we found a better way to do it. And I mean, a part of the reason why I wait to do my scoring until the night of is because I know that my scores are going to change based off of the testimony that we hear from the applicants. And that's part of the process. Like, the only reason why we would have this hearing tonight is so that we could change our answers based off of what the applicants tell us in their testimony. So I don't necessarily see that as a flaw of the process. And I would also add that looking at the scoring, it is exactly as Commissioner Wilson said, we are not bound by what the scores say. I think if anything, it shows us what has clearly risen to the top and what has fallen to the bottom. And then we are free to use that as a tool by which we make a motion to approve, because it just would be too difficult to go one by one for each of us to say our thoughts on each one. And so I think that I'm looking forward to the process, or I don't know if I would say I'm looking forward to the process, but I think it'll be good for us to have another look at how we make sure that this grant process is achieving the goals that we want to see. And I also want to encourage the Believe Foundation to apply for it next time, because like I said, this one has risen to the top for me. And what was that?
And the others. I mean, I would reply them all, encourage them all to,
Well, yes, and the others, but specifically, because I know that was the center of the conversation tonight, because I would like to see that project completed, and I know that I think the majority of us would like to see that. We would like to have the assurances, though, that the public dollars that are invested are going to result in public access. And when those variables are more concrete, I think it would be a lot easier for many of us to push that forward.
Anything else? Yes, please.
Sure. I'd like to thank everybody for, first of all, the willingness to meet for a second time. That I hope is not something we have to do every year, but in these economic moments, I would prefer for us to have this second horribly long meeting, as opposed to having nearly $80,000 sit in a bank for a future year. Must spend these dollars in the community right now when we know we need it. So I thank folks for that. I do see, of the six, we kind of have four organizations that do a thing and do a thing well, and they serve the community. And then we have two germinations of new ideas. And I think there's a risk tolerance that we should develop some skill for in order to assess unanswered questions and our comfort with them, because we've been burned in the past and now we're very risk averse. But I also don't want to be taking risks with the majority of the funds. So in terms of what Commissioner Morrow noted, there's a difference between public ownership versus public access. And for me, the public access matters and not the ownership. And in terms of the other project, that's a germination of an idea. I'd just hate to see the lowest amount not be funded tonight, because that's almost what's left in our pocket, it feels like. So I just think, in my mind, the amount requested is something that I'm going to think more about in terms of lifting up the small germinations, if they're really small grants. We made the right decision tonight in my mind, but just for future thought. Eric?
Just want to, point out that, since this is the second round, there's only $78,000 available. It's not a lot of money. There definitely were going to be some grants that weren't going to get fully funded tonight. That was inevitable, and that's unfortunate for those. I think all of the applications are worthy of funding. We don't have more funds to give. I think I do agree that I would like to give some feedback. I think all of the applicants should apply again. And I would like to give some specific feedback to the Hunger for History project. I think it's a worthy project. I think it's a reasonable amount of funding that you're asking for. I think you could have strengthened your application by including more about the benefit for the participants, the people making the videos, the learning that will take place. I think you mentioned it, but I think you could have kind of said more about the benefit to the people actually making the video, and then maybe more of a kind of specifics and a plan for the distribution, the audience, who's going to see it, where, and maybe kind of more, data if you can about the viewership. I think just a little more specifics about, like I said, the benefit to the participants and the viewership, who's going to be the audience for this, could have strengthened your proposal. Yeah.
Anybody else? Michael?
Yeah, several people have said it, but we definitely have to, before these go out next year, we have got to come together and make some changes to this. We need to be much more clear, I think, on the criteria of what will qualify, what won't qualify. And the other thing I think we need to look at is the scoring, and maybe there's other factors that should be on there. And I think there definitely should be some higher weight given to some of the questions as opposed to others, because some of those are critical. You get the same number of points for how does your project meet the goal compared to some of the other questions that aren't really as important, when that question number one is kind of the guts of what we need to get to. So I hope we can look at how the scoring works, as well as being just crystal clear on the criteria of what kind of projects will qualify and what won't.
So before you came on, I did say that I told the committee that we were going to schedule a meeting this fall to go over some of these things, not to...
But I just gave you two topics that need to be...
Yes, I agree. And I said that. You didn't hear that. So I said that when we started the meeting, and that's what I would like to see. Not to get into a kerfuffle with my colleague, but when this grant program was started up years ago, I was still working for the city, and the projects only were benefiting Park Place, because Park Place was the area that was being severely impacted by the transfer station. So we had some very specific physical projects that benefited Oregon City, and you would be able to go and touch them and see them and whatever. And we worked with Metro staff on those original criteria, and I don't have any of that documentation anymore, but I would, there's somewhere in the record somewhere, would be great to be able to go back and look at that. I think that in our efforts to enhance, and what I feel is enhancement, I think we have gone completely in an opposite direction. And it's not that the programs that the people that are here talking about aren't wonderful and they're beneficial, but it gets a little nebulous, when we start talking about, and again, I'm going to tease you about this for a long time, about the economic benefit of, homes. And, I'm not mocking you or anything. I know, having done some economic stuff, I know that some of that information is really hard to quantify. So when I see somebody say that, I think, okay, that sounds great. How do I know how to do that? So I just want to thank the committee again for being here and working through this. And contrary to you, I don't dread this. But I know some people do.
I don't dread it all.
It's part of what we're doing, and I want to make sure that the applicants know that we appreciated their efforts, and I'm happy to talk to anybody, and after, maybe not tonight, but in the future, if you want to chat with me about some ideas that I have about, just like you talked about, how they could make their application better. I'm happy to do that, as just because I'm a community member. So I would like to just go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
So I just want to get to something that Councilor Lewis said as well about the risk tolerance, because I think that is something that we need to be thinking about.
Exactly.
And in the interim, between now and when the next grant cycle goes through, I would encourage the organization, and all organizations, but the organizations specifically who did not receive grant funding to pursue other grants to build up that track record, because there is a difference between private and public, and there needs to be, I think on our end, because we are a public entity, that there needs to be a heightened scrutiny over how we expend these dollars, that if there is a track record that's built up through other private grant processes, that will also benefit us as we look toward the next grant cycle. I know that earlier I mentioned my concerns with some of the benchmarks that were presented by Oregon City Together, because some of the benchmarks presented were statistically insignificant. But I also know the organization, and they have a track record in this community, and that I trust. And so there is something to be said about that, but we do need to be encouraging these more startup, entities as well to be applying for these, because they are worthwhile as well.
No, I don't disagree with you, but again, because, and this is going to be the final comment, so because we are expending public funds, we have a financial fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the projects can be executed in the way that we said, that was said. And we also we're accountable. And we have auditing, we have all sorts of things that you guys don't even know about that we are required to do. And, some of the larger nonprofits do know about some of this, but I understand that, smaller nonprofits don't, and they don't always have the capacity. So part of it is this money is for an enhancement. It is not an entitlement. And just because it's out there, we don't want people just to throw spaghetti at the wall to try to do that to get some money. So I think we all have to really, the committee members need to think about how we can work through a process and come to an agreement about how the funding is done. And we can work with Councilor Lewis and Metro on this as well, because, I've only been to one other enhancement grant program process, and it's completely different. It's a different entity, different community than what we're doing. So I couldn't even use that as a real good example. But anyway, thank you very much. No, we're done. Sorry. Everybody got to talk. So.